Hey everyone, there's this article called Debunking Pseudo-Skepticism that was posted on AboveTopSecret.com and DebunkingSkeptics.com by a user who goes by the name Indigo Child. On those forums, not necessarily on YouTube. It's stupid, hypocritical, and packed full of logical fallacies and contradictions, so it's Pwnage time! In my previous videos dealing with UFOs, I've explained why the evidence presented so far is insufficient to convince me. If you're a believer, but you're open to challenging your beliefs and want a serious discussion, or want to understand why I'm unconvinced, go watch those videos. In this one, my gloves are off. And the guy I'm pwning obviously doesn't represent you. In the interest of keeping things as short as possible, I'll be paraphrasing from the article rather than quoting directly.
This forum can benefit from more clear thinking.
He's talking about AboveTopSecret.com, so he is not kidding.
Which is why I have decided to write this primer on logic, focusing on the subject of aliens and UFOs. The purpose of this article is not to prove anything.
And yet, it does prove something. That you are dumber than Wheatley.
But simply to debunk arguments commonly used by pseudo-skeptics.
I wonder how many of them are simply straw man versions of the actual arguments used by skeptics.
A skeptic withholds judgment until all available evidence has been investigated. It is the skeptic's responsibility to investigate things and come up with an explanation that accounts for all the findings. Someone who rejects claims without a proper investigation is a doubter, not a skeptic.
Apparently someone forgot to tell this idiot that there's a difference between a skeptic and a scholar or scientist studying the topic in question, and that doubter is synonymous with skeptic. It's just like when creationists start talking about evolution. Do they take classes to learn this crap? Hello and welcome to How to Appear Intelligent, Educated and Trustworthy for Believers in Pseudoscience 101. Today we will learn how to always open with a straw man so that the audience knows that you are stupid, ignorant, and/or dishonest. Wait.
Argument. There's no evidence that ET exists, therefore ET is not a valid explanation.
Another straw man. Obviously the author intends to demonstrate that the existence of ET is quite probable, but that does nothing to show that he's ever been here, which of course is the real issue.
Rebuttal. Yes, there is evidence, and it's up to the skeptic to find it and come to a judgment only after investigating it.
I actually have investigated all the evidence I've been presented with. All 0 pieces of it. If there is some actual evidence, then it's up to you believers to present it, because you guys are the ones making the claim. You guys are the ones trying to convince me.
Besides, life exists on Earth. Life is a natural phenomenon and is part of the observable universe. For the skeptic to argue that life only exists on Earth simply because he doesn't know of another instance of the phenomenon would be a possibility fallacy.
Indeed, it would. Possible does not mean probable.
My opponent probably assumes that his mind isn't the only mind that exists. If he can make that assumption, I can assume that life on Earth is not the only life that exists.
That's a false analogy. The belief that other minds exist is not really an assumption, but a conclusion based on observational evidence. I can interact with other people and they appear to have minds of their own. I can't prove beyond all doubt that I'm right, but I know what the evidence I have available compels me to believe.
ET is part of the observable universe and is therefore a valid explanation.
ET is only part of the observable universe if he actually exists, which has yet to be demonstrated. But even if you could prove that ET exists, that does not imply that he's ever been here.
Argument. ET can't get here. It would take too long unless he can travel faster than light, which is impossible.
Yet another straw man. The reason the distances and the laws of physics are pointed out isn't to prove that ET can't get here, but to explain why, based on our current understanding of the universe, it appears unlikely that he could.
Rebuttal. Argument from incredulity.
No. It's not that we don't understand how ET would get here and therefore assume it's impossible. It's that we have good reason to consider the claim highly extraordinary.
ET would not necessarily have to travel faster than light, only at a high percentage of it, which is perfectly possible using technology we will probably have soon.
Sure, if you're talking about ion engines and solar sails, and if high percentage means no more than 10%, but even at almost the speed of light, it would still mean that ET has to be very close by, which is unlikely. He's probably thousands, at the very least several hundred light years away. Yes, it's possible that ET is a lot closer than that, but oh yes, again, possible does not imply probable.
Also, the limitation of light speed is based on the general theory of relativity, which says an object's mass becomes infinite as it approaches light speed.
Excuse me, general? Relativistic mass comes from a somewhat impractical approach to the equations of special relativity, not general. But the idea of light speed being unattainable is not based on either of those theories anyway, so even if you could tell the difference between a Lorentz factor and a Ricci tensor, it still wouldn't matter. It's based on the outcome of the Michelson-Morley experiment, which I won't describe here. The video is going to be long enough as it is.
This is only a theory.
Excuse me.
A theory is based on what is observed, and as ET isn't part of the observable universe, we cannot say that our theories apply to him.
Earlier, you said that ET was part of the observable universe. Stupid, inconsistent motherfucker!
There's no reason ET couldn't learn to manipulate the mass effects caused by traveling at the speed of light, or to overcome the light speed barrier.
Yes, there is. Physics. And again with a possibility fallacy. Even if ET could possibly solve this problem, it doesn't follow that it's likely that he has.
Argument. It's absurd to think that aliens would come here to abduct humans.
I don't think anyone says that. That's the one that makes sense. Unlike these.
Fly around like drunk pilots, mutilate cows, and make crop circles.
Yeah, those are absurd.
Rebuttal. Argument from incredulity.
No! Again, you don't seem to understand what an argument from incredulity is. An argument from incredulity is to say, I don't understand it, therefore it's impossible. Not, I find it absurd, therefore you'll have to present some very good evidence if you want to convince me.
Argument. It's illogical for ET to come here and hide from us.
Not necessarily. There's always the good old Star Trek Prime Directive. Don't interfere with the natural development of a less advanced civilization.
Rebuttal. Who says ET is hiding? He may be hiding from some, but clearly not from everyone.
Are you saying it's less illogical that ET would only hide from skeptics?
Since so many high-level witnesses in the government say that contact has taken place.
Care to name one?
However, there may be good reasons why ET would hide. I'm tempted to speculate that there's an intergalactic prime directive, but I won't.
No, I guess that would be stupid.
Once again, this is an argument from incredulity.
Excuse me.
Argument. There's no physical evidence. No alien technology, no alien DNA samples.
Hey, a good one!
Rebuttal. That's an impossible demand.
No, it's a perfectly reasonable and absolutely necessary demand if any skeptic is to be convinced.
If such evidence exists, why would it be sent to you for inspection?
Who says it should? Of course it shouldn't. It should be handled by the scientific community. It should be studied by multiple experts in the relevant fields of science, and the results should be published in peer-reviewed scientific journals for everyone to read, just as with any other scientific discovery.
People will simply have to rely on the scientific experts who handled this evidence.
Echo!
Some people simply won't believe what the authorities, the scientists, are telling them.
And they provide the rest of us with plenty of entertainment. Besides, aren't those authorities involved in that conspiracy to keep this whole thing hidden from the public? No, wait! You haven't actually said that, coming to think of it. Yet.
There are many authority figures who have claimed to have handled UFOs, aliens, and alien technology.
Please direct me to the peer-reviewed papers, then. Source, please.
Marcel Vogel of IBM stated in public that the metal sample given to him by contactee Billy Meyer couldn't have been manufactured on Earth.
I can't find a single reliable source for that claim. Even Wikipedia says citation needed. So, source, please. Vogel, who died in 1991, was a chemist and not an expert at metallurgy, and it certainly doesn't help your case that Vogel's PhD was honorary as opposed to a testament to his qualifications as a scientist.
The officials at Roswell claimed to have handled metal debris from a UFO which had alien properties.
Roswell. Really? What's next? Noah's flood? Look, even if I play along, those officials, aren't they supposed to be covering it up? Source, please.
Some scientists have testified that transistors are reverse-engineered alien technology.
What scientists? Source, please!
If he is sincere, my opponent should withdraw his argument, as it has been demonstrated that there are authorities who have handled the evidence he asked for.
No, he shouldn't, because no, it hasn't. So far, not a shred of evidence has been presented. Not a single source has been provided, and you're even about to contradict yourself.
Rejecting evidence simply because it isn't peer-reviewed is an appeal to authority.
See? You said we should rely on the scientific experts, and now that's a fallacy? As opposed to appealing to the authority of people who can't get published since their work doesn't live up to the standards required by said experts. What is wrong with your brain?
The authority that rejected the evidence simply didn't like it. It doesn't follow that the evidence is necessarily false.
Well, we had to get to tinfoil hat land sooner or later. Why would competing journals agree not to publish something groundbreaking? Why would a journal have their reviewers reject an article that would be guaranteed to sell copies? Where is the evidence of this conspiracy? I don't believe you. You'll have to convince me, and so far the only thing you've convinced me of is that you have the IQ of a toilet brush. And enough with the possibility fallacies!
Argument. If we accept that aliens are visiting us, we also have to accept goblins, Bigfoot, etc., etc. Rebuttal. That's a slippery slope fallacy. All paranormal claims should be treated individually.
Asking us to treat claims individually is one thing, but what you're asking for here is for us to apply a different standard of evidence to claims about aliens than to claims about Bigfoot. Why? I can only find one difference between aliens and Bigfoot that's relevant here. You believe in one of them and not the other, and that leads you to commit a special pleading fallacy.
Argument. Eyewitness reports are not necessarily true. They could be lying or mistaken. Rebuttal. That's a possibility fallacy.
Possibility fallacy?